Okay, so take a second and pause this and copy this down completely. What we are doing is we're breaking down large fractional equations. And these are the ones that look aggressive at the beginning, but we're going to maneuver through this like it's nothing. But you need to understand one thing, and that is our goal. And I'm going to write it down, and then we're going to do it. Our goal is to create a common denominator for every single term. If we create a common denominator, we no longer will have fractions in our equation because we can cross them out. So the first thing you need to do is look. Every single term needs to have a denominator. Every single term. So if one does not have a denominator, you're going to put a 1 under it because every single term needs a denominator. So the 7 has a denominator, the 1 has a denominator, the 3 needs a denominator. So we're going to put that over 1. The 3 has a denominator and the 5 has a denominator. Now we have to create a common denominator through all of them. So it looks like all of them basically have the same denominator except for this 3. So we need to create this. Remember, when there's a 1 and you're trying to get a common denominator, you're just multiplying by the other guy. So we're going to multiply top and bottom by 2 here. We have, whatever we do to the bottom to make them the same, we have to do to the top. So I'm multiplying by 2 on the bottom, I'm multiplying by 2 on top. Okay? Now, I have a 2, a 2, a 2 times 1 is a 2, and a 2. Once I create that every single one of these has a common denominator, every single term, then I can just rewrite the numerator and solve the equation. So I have created one that all of the terms have a denominator of 2. Now I don't need to worry about the 2's. They're all equal playing field. So now I'm just worried about the top. So I'm going to rewrite the numerator. So my numerator is 7x plus 1x equals, this is where I have to actually multiply this. 2 times 3x is 6x plus 3 plus 5x. So again, once we get all the denominators to be the same, the tops we just write down and we solve. Oh, well, that's pretty easy to do. Now we're just going to combine some like terms. And on the left side, I have 7x and 1x. This gives me 8x. On this side, I have a 6x plus a 5x. It's going to give me 11x. And I bring down the plus 3. My next job is to get my like terms or my x's on the same side. So I'm going to move that 11. Remember, I have to move the 11. I can't move the 8 because if I move the 8, it'll be empty. Can't have an empty space. So we're going to subtract 11x on both sides. Notice the work I'm showing. The 11's cancel. 8 plus negative 11 is negative 3x. Bring down your 3. And then you're going to divide both sides by negative 3. Negative over negative is positive. 3 over 3 becomes 1. Positive over negative is a negative. 3 over 3 is 1. And there's your answer. Okay, so here's our second example. And remember that our goal is to create a common denominator with every single term. That means that every single term, as soon as I see a fraction, every single term needs to have a denominator. So there's one here and here and here, but the x doesn't have one. So I'm going to put this over 1. And our goal is to get these to all be in common. And I hope that you recognize that 6 is the common denominator that all of these could turn into. So with that in mind, I'm going to take my 2 and I'm going to multiply by 3 top and bottom to get that common denominator to be 6. For the 1, I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 6 because 6 times 1 is 6. For 6, I don't have to do anything because it's already the denominator. And for 3, I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 2 because 3 times 2 is 6. So now I'm just going to double check and make sure that all of my denominators are the same. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 is already here. And 3 times 2 is 6. So because they're all the same, all I have to do now is rewrite my numerator. That's the top. And make sure that you're doing this multiplication on these that you change the denominators for. So this is 3 times negative 3. That's going to give me negative 9. 6 times x is 6x. Negative 5, nothing changed on it. And 4 times 2 is 8. Look at that. There's my equation. So it's not terrible. Once we get our common denominators, these equations become super easy to do. On the left side of equals, there's no like terms to combine, but on the right side of equals, I can take negative 5 and add negative 8. Negative 5 plus negative 8 is negative 13. Then I can bring this down. Our goal is to get x by itself, so we need to move the 9. So we're going to add the 9 to both sides of equals. Negative 9 plus 9 cancels. You're going to bring your 6x down, bring your equals down. And negative 13 plus 9 is a negative 4. Remember, the bigger one is negative, so that's the one that the outcome is going to be. Lastly, we need to get x by itself, so we're going to divide both sides by 6. Now remember, we're not dealing with calculators, so we're going to take this 4/6 and we're going to reduce it. So the number that I can use to reduce top and bottom is 2. So negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So my final answer is negative 2/3. Boom. Please progress to the next slide where you're going to try your own and then check for understanding. If you have questions, make sure you contact